Do you guys see the option, the recording option on your side?
It says
recording has started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're good to go. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our Endometriosis Webinar. Yeah, finally, it's the last day of March, but we acknowledge and we know that the disease doesn't sit back and wait until next year, March. We are pushing the agenda. We are raising awareness. It doesn't stop here. But welcome if you are watching on YouTube, on Facebook. We're going to post this across all social media platforms. So yeah, just chill at home and relax while you are watching this recorded version. Unfortunately, we had so many issues and people, they're not able to join us. But thank you so much to our panel for joining us. It's such a great pleasure to have all of you guys from all the different parts of the world, but we are together because of one cause, of one issue, of one condition, which means our health brings us all together. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It just doesn't matter. We relate. We know the struggle. We know what people are going through out there. And it's so sad that today is the last day of this awareness. And in South Africa, per se, guys, there is no awareness at all. Talking about media, talking about TV, talking about newspaper. I've seen how in the USA, the awareness it's there's hype. People are talking about it. It's happening. But in South Africa, unfortunately, you can find out it's only us or with two more other group of people. That's how bad it is. And most cases when you have the cancer awareness, it's all over. It's pink. The entire country is pink. Television, adverts, everyone is talking about it. But such conditions are not recognized because they are related to menstruation. And we still have a long way to fight this condition. So I won't waste any time, guys. We're just talking about the politics and endometriosis. We have all these issues, and wherever you are in the world, these issues are there, okay? So I will start by, I want to introduce our panelists. I'll ask you guys to introduce yourself before we can actually start and, tackle this issue. Yeah, it's not really an issue. It's a good thing that we are all here, and I'm super excited because there's so much that we need to discuss, and I believe that we'll come up with solutions and strategies. I'm that person. We know that there is an issue. We know that the problem is here, but at the end, what are we doing? So we are the generation that is solution driven than people who are always complaining. So yeah, I will start with Dr. Sinethemba. Over to you, Doc. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucy. This is amazing. This is awesome. Zooming into women's experiences, women's realities, but also I love that it's women talking about their experiences themselves. Where we don't have to have somebody else describing our pain and giving meaning to our pain and limiting however we feel our pain. So this is quite exciting. I love it. I'm Sinethemba. I am a sociologist, social scientist, humanities. So yes, I'm here looking at the experiences of women and locating them within the social constructions of our society so that we have an understanding. Like you're saying, for example, that there's quietness about endometriosis compared to cancer and everything else. So I'm sort of also here to throw in those questions and suggestions of why it is as it is. So yes, that's who I am.
Thank you, Doc, for joining us. Kate, please introduce yourself. I'm trying to spotlight everyone while they're talking.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm incredibly honored to be on this panel, truly. So again, thank you, Lucy, so much for putting this together and reaching out. My name is Katie Boyce. I am a board certified patient advocate. I got my board certification last summer. I started my journey as a young girl and I decided after my struggles that I needed to find a way to use my pain and my story to help others. And for me, that ended up being advocacy. So I really love the multifacetedness of advocacy. So I like to help empower. I like to give individuals the knowledge they need and the tools that they need to make the decisions that are right for them. And then I also like to look at the complex landscape of endometriosis as it comes to the politics involved and the politics of the research as well. So.
Thank you, Katie. Ntsaki, I will spotlight you. Over to you.
Hi, ladies. My name is Ntsaki Mhalnga. I am a social entrepreneur and also an Endo Warrior. I am a patient, but also now becoming an advocate for endometriosis, and not just in the month of March, but continuously. I feel like it's a very, very important thing. So my work is mainly in education. I do believe in quality education, and that does not align with where you come from or what type of background you have financially. I just believe that everyone should be well resourced to get academic success and just really plan their futures accurately. So that is essentially what I do on a daily basis. And then from time to time, sometimes I like to be a creative and design campaigns for brands. But sometimes like being an Endo Warrior means having a career like that, and then also managing endometriosis on a daily basis. So that's me.
Thank you, Ntsaki. Andrea, over to you. Spotlight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea. I am 34 years old. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at age 21, and I was in my senior year of undergrad. So when I went in for my first surgery, they took out my right ovarian tube, said that it was the size of a grapefruit. And they told me that it would be extremely difficult for me to conceive. Leading up to that, I was turned away by so many doctors who just pushed pain meds at me. My mom has hands down been my greatest advocate because, well, before I was able to advocate for myself, she will be like, okay, you know what? You said that it's just a painful period. I know my daughter is not crazy. No reason why she should be, her teacher should be calling me. She's 15 and telling me that her daughter is in the fetal position on the floor of her AP math class. Like that makes no sense. So she really like pushed back. And as we all know, not just women, but especially Black women have a difficult time having their voices heard when it comes to chronic illnesses and receiving the care that we deserve. So really my journey with my advocacy happened in 2017, when I had to have a two bowel resections, one of the large and small bowel, and I was left with the ileostomy. So I was on my couch, and instead of weeping and falling into like a deep depression, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure that if this happened to me, then it's going on with millions of women across the globe. So I decided to just raise my voice and speak up, and in turn, sharing my story healed me, and it allowed me to connect with a lot of just brave, strong women across the globe. And I'm just so honored and blessed to be here. I'm just excited to have this conversation with you guys today.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Simangele, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I don't see you. Okay, over to you. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good day, everyone. My name is Simangele Sithole, and I'm a master student at WITS, and I've been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's been 18 months now since I've known about it, and of course, taking chronic medications for it. It's such an honor for me to be in this panel, strictly because I've seen the work of Lucy, particularly towards women's health and her awareness campaigns. So I just want to know that more about endometriosis. Like, I don't even know what it's about, so I'm just anxious at the same time because I'll be sharing my journey for the first time.
Yeah.
For the first time. But then it's such an honor and a blessing at the same time. All women would shed light to these conditions that we go through, how it's managed. So I'm just looking forward to this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Simangele. I see that some people are able to join in as well. So welcome to everyone who's just joining us now. So to our panelists, please turn on your video when you are talking so that people can see you and engage with you. And to everyone, I'll make sure that your mics are on mute so that we don't have extra background sound to disturb the speaker. So we're not going to waste any time. People are here and there's so much that we need to learn and there's so much information that we have to share. So our first speaker will be talking to Dr. Sinethemba. I don't see you. I actually want to spotlight her, but I don't see her. Are you still here, Doc?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me just spotlight you while I'm still talking about this topic. Yes, so she'll be focusing more on the socio-economic issues, on the inequality. We know that, guys, a lot comes with being a woman. You know, I know a lot of people, they were saying we are just carrying the feminist cap at all times, but we need to be honest, so many issues, just because you are a woman, just because the issue is related to you being a woman, we are still marginalized, and there's so many struggles, there are so many issues. So Doctor, over to you as a specialist in that area. Please lay a great foundation about, you know, injustice and everything before we can start talking about this topic. I feel like it's very important because we're talking about the politics of endometriosis. It's very important that we get this foundation before we can do anything else. Over to you, Doc.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucy. It's actually very important, and I'm grateful that you recognize that it's important in different levels. It's important because we need to understand that as women, and I'm zooming into women now because that is the focus. So we need to understand that as women, our struggles should not be reduced into individual experiences, because now it becomes my problem instead of a woman's problem. But the minute we zoom in on the problems that women are faced with or the experiences of women, then we are able to see it beyond just the individual. You know, we're able to see the commonalities that we have. And we are able now to understand why is it that in certain areas we are unable to get the help that we need. So I'm really grateful for you for recognizing the need to set that standard so that women do not think they have to fight anything alone. It's not about them. Of course, it's happening to them, but it's bigger than that, and we need to recognize that so that we don't feel like we're failures when we cannot do certain things. We need to understand that you can try so much, and when you get to a certain point, bring another woman, and then you try together when you get to a certain point, because it is beyond you as an individual. So it's with that mindset that I would like to start just briefly creating a context within which we can understand women's experiences. And I'm just going to talk broadly, even though we're zooming into endometriosis. I'll just put it broadly like that. So for me, the way to look at and to understand endometriosis and other painful experiences that women go through, especially those that are reproduction related, is to break down the society or the women's experiences into particles that are linked, of course. So to ask myself that at the household level, which is the individual's level, what is it that we told? What is it that we learn? How are our perceptions shaped so that we can understand our experiences in a certain way? What are we taught about pain as a woman? And then once we have done that understanding, then we move into another space and we say, okay, these experiences of women within this household, how are they shaped by what happens in their social spaces? When I'm talking about social spaces, then I'm already asking that what institutions are there within the areas where they live? What information is there where women live? And how does it shape their understanding? Does it contradict what they learn from home, or does it emphasize it? And then we move beyond, because we have to understand that we're not only members of our households and our social spaces like our communities, but our communities are part of bigger spaces, which is, for example, a South African space. It's part of a province, and then the province is part of South Africa as a whole. So we go and then we move on and we say, okay, now that I'm in this space, how is it influenced by the structuring of my country, for example? What are the key factors that determine what happens in my country? So once we look at it like that, then we're able to understand how our experiences within the household are shaped by multiple factors that then help us to understand, to respond, to make sense of, and also to react to others in a certain way. So when I lay that foundation, it's just broadly like that. Now let's come back now to experiences of women within those three social spaces. I often like to look at endometriosis within the construction of women in relation to pain. I'm looking at it in relation to pain because I don't want to separate it from other kinds of pain, because this is one aspect of pain within. For example, your period pains are not just your reproductive pain, but then they affect your emotional state. And again, they do not only affect your emotional state, they affect you psychologically. They're not only affecting you psychologically. You cannot go to school if you're a student. So then they affect your performance. If ever you are working, then again, you're not going to be able to go to work. And what impact does it have on your ratings, for example, at work? So that's why I'm conceptualizing it broadly as pain, with an understanding that it's not one kind of pain. I don't want us to look at it as one kind of pain. It's a gender pain as well, because if within your household you live with a man, for example, then you explain to them, their understanding will be shaped by the gender barriers, whatever gender barriers that are there. So I'm looking at it broadly like that, with an understanding that it's multifaceted. So once I look at it only as a period pain, then I'm reducing it, because already I'm cutting it off every other thing that it does to a person. For example, I had a friend at high school. The friend that I had, actually, there she is looking it now. And every month it was hurting to see how period pains affected it. But now we didn't know anything. So you see that now that pain is not just a period pain. It's an emotional pain to me, because I cannot take it away from her. So that is why it's really important for us not to reduce it into just a reproductive pain. We have to understand it within the broader constructions of women in relation to pain. So now I'm coming back to the household level. What is it that we are taught within the household that shapes how we see women in relation to pain? For example, at home, we learn that boys are stronger, so then they play all these rough games. We learn that girls are soft, and so they are ladies. However, there's a contradiction in the way in which we taught, because now we are born expected to be these reproducers. We are also shaped as if we are immune to pain. Remember that we soft. But on the other hand, we are pain bearers. So there's a contradiction right there. For example, you find that when a boy falls, we don't jump that much because he's a boy, he's supposed to be strong and whatnot. But now, when a woman experiences pain, the period pains, we also do not jump because she's a woman, she's supposed to handle pain better. You look at relationships. When a man cheats, he breaks down. We understand he leaves you because he cannot handle that pain, and yet he's constructed as a strong person. When a woman is cheated on, she can take it because she's strong. So you see the contradictions of how we constructed around pain. And it already speaks to how gender puts us in boxes that make it difficult for us to act in certain ways, because we're living with these contradictions where I am strong when it comes to experiences of emotions. But again, when you're looking at your periods, your endometriosis, you're giving birth, those are not just emotional pains. So then, as a result of that understanding of pain, then a woman who is unable to carry the load is seen as though she's not woman enough. She's weak. So already there's something wrong with her. You've got periods. So what? You're a woman. You're strong enough. Oh no, my boyfriend cheated on me, and now I have this. Also what? You can handle it. A man has a toothache. What happens? He has to go to the doctor because we take him seriously, and yet he's strong enough. So we grow up with these contradictions within the household of how women are constructed around pain. We are the pain bearers, but at the same time, our pains are reduced into emotional pain, so that what we say is not taken seriously, because now we belong to the private spaces. A man is taken seriously because he's not emotional. Again, you look at how a woman is constructed. You cannot take seriously what she says because she's this emotional being. So a man is taken seriously because he is this, what's this word? He is sober-minded, so to speak. And then you then move on to the society. And you say to yourself, how do these constructions of girls and versus boy and all these contradictions feed into our social spaces? And when you do that, you look at sex, for example. Sex becomes taken seriously in social spaces. Hence, we have condoms at schools and condoms in hospitals. And yet you struggle to get a pad because it is related to a man. A man should not be controlling himself. He is free. He can explore. He can play around with girls. So his toys must be available. Whereas with you as a woman, why not take it as a private issue? Go back home. Go hide. We belong to the kitchen. So you see how the contradictions within the household are fed by the contradictions within society. Whereas as a woman now, you have to always beg for something that is natural, because you do not choose to have periods or not, or period pains or not. It is part of you. But you constantly have to remind and beg. And again, it goes back to the conceptualization of women in relation to pain. Because you hear sayings such as, which means beauty is painful. So in order for you to be beautiful, so as we comb our hairs, we do all these things, you are a pain bearer. you hear that in Sotho, is it Sotho? Yes, I think it's Sotho. Musadi utwara tipa kabo hali. A woman holds a knife where it is sharper because you are a pain bearer as a woman. So now the norms and values around womanhood, imbogoto. So you hit a rock. So you are a pain bearer, and all those expressions, they feed to these contradictions around pain. Your space is in your husband's place, and when you get to your husband's place, that is where you experience pain, because we are, what's this word that is used, we are kotiza, for example. So you have to go through an initiation process. But now men also go through initiation, but theirs is different because it brings dignity. It's not as undignifying as the kind that we go through as women, that ridicules you, where you have to cook for everybody, wake up early. So the contradictions in our society then feed into the availability of resources for us as women. As a result, you find that now, even in church, there's churches that believe that as a girl, you cannot go to church when you're menstruating because you're dirty. It's a private affair, so why not take it back home? Whereas sex is a public affair because it belongs to men. So once you look at that in the society, then you go back to the broader spaces and you say, okay, if this is the case, how is it fed by the construction of our country? Now we start to look at race, racism. Again, it doesn't mean that these race and racisms are only in that in your country level, but I'm just showing how they manifest themselves at the different levels. So when you start going now to the country and you look, for example, in a South African context, like you were saying, that in South Africa, we're not speaking about it. You come back and say, but who is experiencing it, and how are the pains shaped by race? And you go back into asking, where do you find certain people? For example, then you start looking at how race shaped our experiences in South Africa, or how it constructs women's. Is that okay? You can hear me. Okay, how it shapes women's experiences of pain differently. Now you start to see how whiteness differentiates a Black woman in terms